This episode is brought to you by the Ghoulish Gallery, Movies for Days, Dewey Pod Monster, The Aardvark and Magic Moshi Do Red Dwarf, Video Tasties, Voices from the Mausoleum, You Gonna Eat That Crust, and Pop Culture Reflections, all members of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Mark, I've decided I'm going to save you from a joke this week.
Really? You're going to do me that honour?
I am. Instead, I'm going to sing you a song.
I don't know. That sounds even worse. Can I take the joke instead?
No. The song, and I feel it's something that we need to do because of the movie today. And feel free to join in at any time you want, because you're going to know the words pretty quick. You ready?
I think so. Go for it.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good hello, and so say all of us.
Hey everyone,
the You Run Podcast.
the You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show, this is your show.
Hello and welcome to... What?
What's with the relevance of the he's a jolly good fellow?
No, for he's a jolly good fellow.
Completely again over my head.
Terrible. Hello, welcome to Horror Movie Review. My name's Scott.
And my name is Mark.
And we're your host each week as we take you through whichever movie you've chosen for us to review. And every now and then we'll sling in a new release to keep it fresh. On today's episode, you're going to get a review, loads of facts, the return of Broken Spirit, the first guest of the year, who I will get to shortly. If you want to get involved in future episodes, simply follow us at You Run Podcast across all the social medias. If you don't want to follow me, but follow Mark, it's mean, but I'll allow it. He is Reviews from the Crypt or VHS from the Crypt on Instagram. You can also send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or record us a voicemail by sending an audio DM on any social media platform that will allow it. And we have one today. And it's a nice message, which is rare for us. It's not someone hurling abuse at us.
Oh, nice.
Here we go. We got a message from Kate.
Hi, just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the episode on 7. And I couldn't tell if you were taking the piss out of Alien 3 or if you liked it. I got a bit distracted. It's totally fine either way. But David Fincher I love, and I quite enjoy Alien 3. I thought the story was really interesting and the suspense was really good. Obviously not as good as 1 and 2. And my opinion might not be worth much because I like Jaws 3, so yeah. But I hope you guys cover it if you haven't already. If you have, please let me know the episode number because I couldn't find it. And Mark,
no, we haven't covered
Lost,
Alien 3.
It is a good book. It's definitely worth reading. Once you've gotten used to the style of language that Milton uses, it's kind of a good versus evil situation. And yeah, there are a lot of similarities between it and the Divine Comedy. I feel like one may have been influenced a bit by the other, but I don't know which one. I can't remember. But yeah, definitely I would recommend it. And I did look it up, and there is a Spotify audiobook, which is 10 hours long, so that sounds fun. But it actually might be a really good way to kind of decide whether you want to dive into the book or not and devote that time to it. So yeah, let me know how you get on with that, and hopefully you enjoy it if you read it. Okay, bye.
So that was Kate. We've not covered Alien 3. I wasn't taking the piss out of it, and I like it.
Yeah, no, I like it too. I think it's a good movie in terms of Alien. They are all quite consistent movies. It was just not what Fincher wanted to make. It was heavily interfered by the studio, and the end product kind of reflects that in places, which is what I was referring to. As for your Paradise Lost comments, thanks for the information. I have recently just bought it on eBay. I managed to bag like a 1920s antique edition for like £2, which I thought was amazing. I'm surprised nobody else was bidding on it. It's the abridged version, so it's sort of like basically trims out the fat and just keeps in the stuff that you actually need. So it's not as big as a 10-hour audiobook.
Did you buy Paradise Lost for Dummies?
It is basically Paradise Lost for Dummies. Yeah, it's the abridged version, so it just cuts all the fat off and it just gives you the more condensed version of what's necessary for the story. So I'm going to check it out. I have done a bit of research into it, and it does sound very similar to the Divine Comedy in that way. But I do know now that it is a poem. It's basically an entire book of a poem. I thought poems were like a sentence or a verse. This is an entire book of one poem, as far as I'm aware. So
Yeah.
be interesting to dive into it, but I'll definitely let you know how I get on when it arrives.
Yeah, let me know as well, because I'm never going to read it.
Yeah, I'm too curious not to.
Also, Kate, thank you very much for sending us a message again. I love it when Kate sends messages in. They're detailed and she gives lots of information and asks lots of questions, which I love.
Yeah, fantastic. But just don't leave pauses so long in between your sentences next time, because I thought you'd finished and started talking over you. I do apologise.
I think we should introduce our guest. A man who Mark can never, ever remember his name, and I really hope you remember today. He is the host of one of the best shows on YouTube. He's basically YouTube horror royalty. He's very entertaining. He's highly opinionated. It is Barry, or as most of
Dave.
you will know him. It's not Dave. Do not
I thought
call
it
him
was Dave.
Dave. No, it's Barry. Say it with
Right,
me.
okay.
Say Barry.
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 Right.
He is the host of Wolfman's Got Nards, and he is joining us right now.
Hi guys.
Hi. Hey, you all right?
Hi, Barry.
Hey there. Thanks for having me, guys. It's an absolute pleasure. And as you guys know, I listen to the show every week when I'm at work, and it kind of helps me ease into my Monday mornings. So it's just really nice. So,
So you know what you're getting yourself in for this week, then?
I do. I know the step-by-step guide. So hopefully I've prepared myself as best as I can.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Are you ready for Broken Spirit? Because you message me almost weekly going, I do all of those.
Yeah. Almost every week I get 100% or 15 out of 15 or however many questions that you do. And when people are like giving their answers, I'm like, no, that's not the answer. What are you doing? But I just know now that because I'm going to be put in the spotlight, I'm going to go, I can't remember. And someone else is going to be saying he knows nothing. So I'll probably know how it feels as soon as those questions come in. But
yeah,
the pressure does get to you on the quiz.
Yeah,
it does. I think you're going to do well. Me and Mark had this conversation off air last week, and I think you are probably one of the few people I could pick out of a hat that I would say has got a chance of being the one to break it.
I don't know about
that. Yeah, we've
out.
pitted you for top contender for reigning champion this week.
Right.
We're going to talk a bit about your channel a bit later on, because your channel's so cool. Your channel is like, I look at YouTube, I look at your channel and go, I want to be like that. You are on YouTube an inspiration to how people should create content. It's clear, it's concise, it's opinionated, and you cause a lot of stir with things you say, which I love. The amount
I didn't know I stirred things up, but yeah, there you go.
What do you mean?
Some of your posts on Instagram where you reference the comments that people send on your videos are hilarious.
That's just trolls.
Didn't you do an entire video of all the troll comments that you received?
Yeah, I save them up every year, and I do like sometimes an annual video about the troll comments that I get. Again, it's not mean spirited or anything. It's just a bit of fun, lightheartedness, and I don't take any of the comments seriously. There have been a few private messages that I've had to take seriously, but I don't talk about them on the channel because they're serious issues. But most of the trolling that I get, it's 99% fun. And if you troll them back, they kind of go, right, I'll go somewhere else now.
I think the thing is as well, when you put yourself out there as much as you guys do on YouTube and stuff like that, I suppose you've got to have a little bit of a thicker skin in order to do it, because people, no matter what, even whether they've watched your video or not, they're just going to go straight to the comment section and talk shit just to get attention, because that's what most of them are there for.
Exactly. And I know that people are going to talk about my looks, they're going to talk about my accent. I prepare myself for that. So and if I don't like it, I just wouldn't do the YouTube videos. Simple as that. So I don't mind. I was born this way. I can't fix the way I look. I can't fix the way I speak. That's me.
You're a very handsome man, mate. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thanks very much, Mark.
I'm going to interrupt you two flirting. We've had a slight change in how the show runs, the way I format the show. So I'm now going to do the synopsis that's going to lead us into the trailer, and then we're going to drop into scores, which I don't normally do. I've extended the synopsis right out, and this is my synopsis, and I apologize if it's not what you expect. Jason Voorhees, the hockey mask menaces with a mummy complex and is petulant for poolside pina coladas. Maybe, is back from the morgue, this time sporting a death metal wardrobe and a rap sheet that reads like a how-to anger management textbook. He terrorizes a fresh batch of teenagers and with the subtlety of a lawnmower across Jello, while young Tommy Jarvis, a kid obsessed with horror like a Kardashian with selfies, hatches a plan to finally send the dead dude to the great hockey match in the sky. Think Home Alone meets Slasher Sleepover with buckets of blood, enough machetes to open a lumberjack convention, and a killer twist that will have you questioning whether Jason is the real monster. Today we are taking a slash at a Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Three times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry, you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Wow, I guess if you watch that trailer, you don't really need to watch the movie, do you?
No, you really don't. It's almost a play-by-play in a minute.
Yeah.
Listeners score the movies. They've scored this a 3.5 out of 5. Letterboxd rocking at a 3.1 out of 5. And Google coming at a 4.1 out of 5. This is a spoiler-heavy show, so if you've not seen this movie before, we are going to talk about it in depth. And here is our friend from Texas to remind you just how spoiler-heavy we are.
Hey, I'm going to explain this shit to you like you're 5. Get your eyes checked. Read the damn episode title. I don't want to hear any bitching, any complaining about how, oh, there's spoilers. No, read it. If you've not seen it, do not listen.
Thanks, Heather. Let's get into this movie. In true Friday the 13th fashion, we kick off with a flashback. Unlike the first two movies, we don't just flashback the previous one, we flashback the previous 3.
Well, I want to interrupt you because one thing I paid attention this time around as well, because obviously, as you know, I'm working my way through the franchise. I've never seen any of them before. When I got to 4, I kind of had a different perspective on it the first time watching it, because I knew there was 7 other films that came after it. But this time I watched it with the intention of it being the true finale. Like, this was studio intention of wrapping it up as the 4th one being the last one, which is what they obviously intended the first time around when they made this movie. So this highlight reel is basically just showing you everything, isn't it? It's like a combination of everything to say, right, this is what's happened and this is where we're up to. Whereas the other previous ones have just given us little snippet bits. And it was really interesting to watch this movie with the perspective of this is how they're closing off the sort of franchise, really. So
yeah, you think in 2 you get 20 minutes of the original.
The first film.
In 3 you get 20 minutes of 2. So this one at least condensed it down and didn't give us just the last 20 minutes of the last movie, which the other movies have done. I like the flashback in this. It makes sense to, if this is the final chapter, it makes sense to give us the perspective of what's come before.
Yeah,
It is
and
until it
all
gets
the
to the
films.
point where it's just a kill montage. It does a good
Yeah.
job of explaining the story for the first 2 minutes, and then it just goes into a kill montage for the end. I'm like, this doesn't really tell us much apart from a highlights reel.
Yeah, which that's kind of all you need, though. Jay, the Friday the 13th franchise, in my opinion, is just a highlight reel of kills. It really is. We now cut to the aftermath of part 3 and police and law enforcement cleaning up the mess that was left from Jason before, including collecting his body and delivering it to the local morgue. The mortician is literally the worst guy in the world. And why have we got this trope of morticians eating food in horror movies?
Do they?
I'm not entirely sure, really. And this whole thing is just basically a rip-off of Halloween 2, isn't it? Let's be
Yeah, I was
honest.
going to say the same. It's got a
It's just
similar
Bud,
vibe.
isn't it?
That guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just Bud from Halloween 2. The whole thing just plays out exactly the same. And let's be honest, the Friday the 13th franchise it doesn't shy away from the fact that it rips off the Halloween franchise. Even with the final act of this movie, which is one thing I wanted to ask you two guys, because you're more knowledgeable on dates than I am. Which came first, Halloween 4 or this one?
This one. 4
This
years.
one. Oh, so Halloween 4 ripped off the ending of this then, really?
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about later on as well when you get to
Yeah,
it.
we'll save it till we get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, the Halloween franchise, as it's gone on, has leaned more into ripping off Friday the 13th. Look at Halloween Kills. It's like they couldn't rip off Friday the 13th tropes anymore if they tried. But it did start off the other way with Friday the 13th going, oh, Halloween done well. That made loads of money. How can we copy that without getting sued? So,
And they don't even shy away from that fact either. That is literally how they set out with making this movie. They saw the success of the first Halloween movie. It's like, right, we need that. Replicate that, but make it summer. And make it at a summer camp.
The mortician is really creepy and leery, where he's hitting on the nurse, and he's such a horrid guy, and she's brushing him off, right up until she didn't, and I didn't get this. Like she's like, "No, leave me alone. No, I'm not interested." And then there's a moment where they sit down, and she turns around and pretty much jumps him. I didn't get it. It's like all of a sudden now he's hot. What's going on?
I don't think he's ever been hot, has he? I just found him very strange.
He really is. They're about to get it on.
Unbelievable character relationship with these two, I found at the beginning.
Yeah, he was definitely punching way above his weight.
And where did they get this aerobics video from as well? Like, is it like a VHS they had, or was it on TV? That's a bit weird.
I'd like a copy, I'll be honest.
Yeah, because he was watching that before she come in, wasn't he? He was watching it.
And then he put it back on again with her.
Yeah, he's a weird guy.
What was the intention here? Were they going to have sex on Jason's body?
Well, they were going to have sex in front of him.
And what did he do? I can't remember. Was his arm dropped down or something like that?
Yeah, his hand fell down.
Yeah,
and gave her a fright.
Yeah. On answer, would you have sex in a morgue?
I mean, I'm try anything once, I suppose.
Barry?
No, you don't want to smell a morgue.
No, I've never been in. Do they smell?
They smell bad, yeah, very bad.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in for having sex in a morgue either. When the hand drops off, she has a tantrum and stomps off. And we get Jason rises, and we get such a cool kill with the hacksaw across the mortician's throat, and then the full 180 snap of his head. And I'm going to say it now to save time when we go through these kills later. Practical effects in this are done by Tom Savini, and it's just a showcase of why he is the best in the business.
Yeah,
well, this is it. I mean, the studio expected to round out the franchise, like I said earlier. So the intention was to bring back the special effects artists from the first one to close out the movies. Tom Savini came back, and they just let him have free reign in this, to the point where Tommy Jarvis's character is practically a homage to Tom Savini throughout this film.
That's right.
Yeah. The nurse is the next one to get it, and Jason stabs her through the stomach. Before he heads off to Crystal Lake, are we assuming he's just a home-in pigeon and he knows where he's going?
Yeah, similar to Myers, I would have thought. Before we do move on, though, I just want to ask you guys, where do you stand in terms of Jason's resurrection? Because I always find it quite underwhelming. Like I'm expecting some sort of lightning bolt or something like that. I mean, when he went into the actual freezer tray, you see the puff of breath coming off him to let you know that he's alive, which I thought was cool and it was really subtle. But like, there's never any, like, I mean, with the Nightmare movies, we get flaming dog piss to bring back Freddy. In here, we get nothing, and it just is, and we just have to accept the fact that he's back. Do you guys expect something more from these movies in that sense, or I haven't seen any more yet?
Yeah, not at this
Yeah,
point in the franchise. I think at this point we have to assume that he's just not dead, but not quite alive, and they don't explain it. But they expect you to know at this point that there is no explaining how he just keeps coming back. That's the way I interpret it up until this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
similar
and
with
it's-
Myers, I suppose. He's just a force of
Yeah.
nature, if you will.
Yeah, and it's not until you get into the later movies where it's kind of confirmed that Jason is fully undead now and a demon of hell, effectively. But at this point, he's a Myers. He's just a man who's incredibly difficult to kill. So yeah, I didn't expect much at this point. Later resurrections, I expect more and don't get it, but we're not doing those today.
No.
We get a brief introduction to the Jarvis family. We have Mrs. Jarvis, who is a typical 80s mum, just kind of lets the kids do what they need to do, and she's doing her own thing. You've got Trish, who is arguably my least favorite character in the entire franchise. I find her so, I don't know, she's so wishy-washy and underwhelming. And later, when she has her moment with Jason, I'm actually rooting for Jason to kill her because she's so annoying.
That really surprises me. I actually really liked her. I like this family as well. The whole lot of them. I thought they were great. There isn't really a character in here I dislike, to be fair, because a lot of them get enough attention throughout for you to really give them that kind of investment, which is one of the major faults with this film I found. But she was all right. I thought she was great. What do you think, Barry? She's not bad. I saw you roll your eyes at Scott when he started calling her out then.
I like the family. The one thing about this film that I think is great is the character development between them all, because we get, I don't know if you noticed this, but we got no action until the hour mark. And I think that was good because we got the build-up of all the characters. So when people started to die, we kind of felt for them. Whereas in the previous films, I'm like, yes, die. But in this one, I'm like, oh, no, don't die. So I felt for the characters, especially the family. I think the family were decent, better than
the
other
family
ones.
especially, yeah. But the stuff, the people within the summer house and things like that, there's like a few characters that come in later on in Nightfall. I'm like, I haven't even seen you up until this point in the movie. I don't even know who you are. Like, when did you arrive here?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about her that just rubs me the wrong way. Tommy, on the other hand, Tommy's amazing. Tommy plays video games and is a mask creator to the level of Tom Savini at the age of about 10. He's amazing. Such a weird, kooky character that just works in this movie. Now, they live on the lake, and one of the questions that always goes through my head is they live on this lake and they're not bothered by the last 4 years of continuous massacres pretty much on their doorstep, and they live a happy life and just get on with it. And next to them, they've got a holiday let, which a group of teens are on their way to for a dirty weekend of drink, drugs, and debauchery. I find the whole dynamic of like the setup of they live on the lake, there's been all these kills there, they're completely unfazed. I find it just odd.
Well, let me just clarify something via the timeline, because Friday the 13th 1 happened obviously many, many years ago with Pamela. 2 and 3 are actually only 2 nights ago prior to the events of the final chapter. This isn't like a Halloween thing where it happens annually. This is like a continuation on. The guy that we meet later on, the hitchhiker guy, he's looking for his sister who was murdered in part 2, which was literally 2 days after the event. Final chapter takes place 2 days after part 2. So the actual Camp Crystal Lake killings that Pamela Voorhees did was probably a folk tale that happened many, many years ago. And everything else after that, part 2 and 3, was less than 48 hours ago. So they probably haven't even heard the news yet about all these mass killings that are going on within the area.
And even
so
if they
probably
did,
why.
Yeah, even if they did, they would think that Jason's been taken in because he was at the beginning of the movie. He's dead, and then he goes away from the morgue without people realizing. So even if they say, "Oh, somebody's done killing," they'll be like, "That's fine. He's been killed anyway. He's been captured." So I don't know if they have to be too weary at this moment in time.
Yeah.
And the introduction of Max later on, I think his name is Max, is basically exposition dump for the family to find out all the information they need to know, really. That is why he is there.
Yeah, no, it's Rob, but yeah, he does. That's exactly what he does. We now meet the teens. There's lots of teens because there's lots of kills in this movie. There's a van full of them. We've got Paul, Samantha, Sarah, Doug, Ted, who I wanted to die immediately, and Jimmy. I love the dynamic between Jimmy and Ted. They're kind of like a comedy double act. So Jimmy's telling him the story of he's been dating a girl and like she's now not answering his calls and not coming back to him. And Ted checks his computer, which isn't there. He just taps away at the air and goes, "Oh yeah, well she's not coming back to you because you're a dead fuck." And, and it made me chuckle. It's such a believable teenage friends relationship because that's the kind of thing that a friend would say to you, give you that moral support. I don't know why Mrs. Voorhees was buried as a roadside attraction though. They drive past her grave and it's literally on the roadside.
On the road.
Oh really? I missed that.
Roadkill.
Which made me chuckle. They drive up a road and they see a hitchhiker. Who was she wearing a wig? And if not, what did wardrobe do to her hair?
I can't say I paid much attention to her hair. I just remember it being brown and curly, and that was it.
They don't pick her up, and she then gives them some abuse. She holds up a sign that's like "Peace and love to Canada," and then when they drive past her, she spins it round. It says "Fuck you," which made me smile. She's the next victim of Jason as he stabs her through the neck. This is my favourite kill in the movie.
Kevin Bacon homage.
Because of the banana.
The banana does make me chuckle because she's holding the
makes
banana.
me laugh every time.
And as she gets stabbed, she kind of crushes it with her. But it looks good. Visually, it looks fabulous. When the teens arrive at the house, they're met by Tommy and Trish. And Trish wants to go and party with them later. And the mum's like, no, that's not happening. And honestly, nothing happens that first night apart from Tommy perving through the window, looking out as the other girl gets changed in the building.
That's a great scene. I loved it. You know, when I was younger, I must have watched it when I was his age, and the reaction that he had watching that couple across the way, I think I remember that's my reaction when I was watching movies when I was a kid in my bedroom with the aerial, and I'm trying to smack the TV to get some sort of picture, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is great!" So I think his reaction is like it was so realistic and genuine that I just couldn't help but love that scene. It was silly, but I loved it.
It's great, especially when his mum comes in and he pretends to be asleep.
Yeah.
And she closes the curtains. You can see the look of devastation on his face.
We've all been there at 11, half 11 at night, sneakily watching Eurotrash.
Eurotrash, yeah. I was going to say.
It's me, Jean-Paul. The next day, the teens go off for a hike and they meet two local twins, which is good. Everyone needs a twin in a movie.
My twin sister. Her name, Fuck You. Fuck you. Fuck me.
I thought that was something on my computer then. That was freaking me out. I was like, what have I been watching?
So they meet the twins and they head down immediately to the lake to go skinny dipping. Confession time. Anyone skinny dipped?
No.
No.
Okay.
You obviously have. Of course you have.
I have many times.
It doesn't count if it's in a swimming pool in your back garden, one of those blow-up inflatable ones.
No, I've skinny dipped in the sea. I've skinny dipped in the sea near where I live now. Nothing wrong with a bit of skinny dipping. Yeah, it's liberating.
You don't go skinny dipping in the UK, man. It's freezing.
It is. Well, it's all right. It's liberating. It makes you feel free and happy.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm all right, though, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, I'm sharing too much. I'm going to say something. I don't know if this is controversial or not. Exposed breasts in horror movies are not required. But in this franchise, boobs out seems to almost be as much of a plot point in Friday the 13th as Jason Voorhees and the hockey mask. It's become a thing now that is probably more synonymous with this franchise than any other slasher franchise going. Am I alone on that?
No.
No.
And I think this is the most, especially, like I said, I'm only up to part 5, but this one is like every other scene as far as I can remember. I don't know how much the other ones get involved in this side of it later on, but this one is the most full on to date.
Yeah, I think they acknowledged that in the remake as well in 2009, because I think by 2009, that sort of stuff didn't happen as much in these types of movies. But with the remake, they decided, we're going to make it known that this is what Friday the 13th is known for. So they went up a level in the remake. So look forward to that one, Mark.
Yeah, I've seen the remake. I love the remake.
All right, okay.
The remake's fantastic. I've seen that was the first Friday film I'd actually ever seen, and then now I'm going back because growing up I was a Halloween guy, and like I'd never watched any of the Nightmare movies. I'm like, no, it's not got Michael Myers in it. It's shit. I don't want to see it. So I'm like working my way through now. But yeah, this one's definitely the most nudity I've seen in so far.
Yeah, it's heavy on boobs. Tommy and Trish stop by the lake to see what the teens are up to, and Tommy is the happiest kid in the world. There's literally boobs everywhere, and he's like, I love that why they're all stood there. Like there's 2 girls stood there naked with their boobs out. All the guys are skinny dipping in the water, and they just casually say to Trish, "Would you like to come and have a swim?" It's just so casual and relaxed, like this is a normal thing to welcome people into.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish my friends were this liberated when I was younger. I didn't go skinny dipping with women like this when I was a kid.
No,
it's the dream.
Trish drags Tommy back to the car and they continue home, but the car breaks down. Trish leaves a small boy to fix the car while she sits in the front seat and looks in the mirror. I'm going to burn a fact here early. So in the original script, Tommy was meant to be an inventor. He was meant to make various different gadgets, and he was meant to be very adept at fixing things. So fixing the car, and then later when he's told to go and fix the lights, in the original script, that all made sense. But then they changed him to a mask maker, and now it doesn't make any sense at all why you'd have a 10-year-old boy with his head under the hood try to fix it while she sits there and checks her lipstick in the mirror.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I didn't ever think that out of the ordinary because he shows that he's very knowledgeable and sort of like nerdy and almost in a way isolated from the rest of society. So all he's got to do really is tinker about with things like this and learn new stuff. And I suppose when it comes into making his masks and things like that, the mechanical side of the stuff that we see him produce later on, you would automatically assume he would know how to fix things around the farm. And they make it very clear that his father's not around. So technically he is the man of the house. So responsibilities would in that sense fall upon him from an early age. I lost my dad when I was quite young. So that automatically fell upon me. I was like decorator and light fixer and everything else from a very young age. So you just have to learn to adapt and pick these things up. So I kind of believed into it a little bit in that sense.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think the kids in the 80s and 80s movies especially, they done everything, really, whether their parents were there or not. But I agree with you, Mark. I think because the dad's not there, it's almost like the Trish and Tommy were the ones that looking after their mum, doing everything for their mum, and they just had to fend for themselves. So it's unrealistic, but it's realistic in this world, I think.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of a Friday movie, it's about as realistic as it comes anyway.
Tommy can't get the car going, but don't worry, Rob is here to save the day. He's so pointless, this guy. Like, this story could completely exist and carry on exactly as it did, whether he's here or not. And he is the weirdest guy in the world. He's just like, oh, yeah, I can fix your car. And then they give back to the house. And, like, all of a sudden he's their best friend, and Tommy runs in holding his hand and drags him up to his room to show him all his creations, and everyone's cool with this. And I know the 80s were a different time, but I find this like if one of my kids walked in with a fully grown man and one of the old just let this guy and take him up to my room, I'd be like, the fuck you are. Like,
I liked him. I thought he was great. I thought he brought a lot to the story in the sense of especially for me, because I only know about all the timescales of everything because of this character. He explains about his sister dying in part 2, and he doesn't reveal it really, but it's clear he's there to try and hunt down Jason. That's his mission, is to try and hunt down Jason in this movie, which I think is cool, and I think they take his character and do a lot better job of it in the remake, because the guy from Supernatural basically is Rob in the remake.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's not the same guy, but the same kind of storyline.
It's the exact same storyline, isn't it? He's looking for his sister who was there like a few days before. So I liked him. I thought it was cool. His death in this movie is the best in the entire film, and I can't wait till we get to it.
Oh no, that's what I really want to talk about that right now, but I'll wait.
In Friday the 13th world, this movie is probably one of the slowest starting, as Barry mentioned earlier. And I'll be honest, I like my Friday the 13th movies fast paced, really goofy, full of loads of kills, mindless fun that I can sit down and go, oh, brilliant. He killed 18 people and switch it off. So when I got to this point, I'm kind of like going, come on, can we please get going? But thankfully we do, because the teens start to party, and we know how Jason loves unprotected underage sex. He is not a fan. We are treated or punished, depending on how you feel about Marty McFly's dad, Mr. Crispin Glover, to his dancing. Thoughts on his dancing, because I think it's fabulous.
Excellent.
Yeah. That was improvised as well. That was his own unique dancing at the time.
That doesn't surprise me either, because he is known to be a strange man.
Oh, he's very strange, yeah. But yeah, the dance was cool.
The dance is really cool. There's a few couples at this party. So you've got Samantha and Paul, and they're a couple. And then Paul starts dancing with one of the twins, and Samantha has a bit of a tantrum, and rightly so. She's like, I'm going for a walk. And she instantly goes down to the lake on her own in the middle of the night and goes skinny dipping again. Again, brilliant kill by Jason. Gets her on the inflatable raft with a spear straight through her. Like, all of the kills in this are top notch, and it's because, unlike some of the other movies in the franchise where they shy away from showing you the kill, in this they just show it all. And
so,
for
but
me,
the thing is with this kill, why does the raft not sink? She's still floating like 2 hours later when Rob comes to look for her. I'm like, surely he's popped the raft when he's stabbed her through the boat and killed her, right? Or am I just really reaching with this movie?
She must be the plug for the whole.
That would make sense. Yeah,
that's
all right. I'll buy into that.
Yeah. So what we're saying is he stabbed her, she slid down, a nipple fell in the hole, the boat doesn't sink. It's got a plug in it.
Yeah.
It's not as good a kill as when Paul gets it when he comes down to look for her. The spear to the testicles is the most eye-wrenching kill in this movie. Jason stabs him in the groin and lifts him fully in the air with a spear. It's awful, and it makes me do the sort of, you assume the position and tuck in and go really small, which is always a sign of a good kill. Back at the house, Jimmy, old Crispin Glover, he's doing really well with one of the twins. And it's the same one who was all over Paul a minute ago. She obviously wants to get some tonight. No, I'm not shaming her. Hey, she wants sex. Paul's not willing. Move on to the next. Do what you need to do. She takes him upstairs, and they leave Ted and the other twin and Doug downstairs with Sarah. The awkward twin who's left with Ted, and Ted's like, you're going to be mine then. The look on her face of like, she does a big sigh and then goes and sits next to him, almost like it's her duty to sit with this guy.
Like she's drawn the short straw.
She 100% drew the short straw. And then he's there with a teddy bear going, it's a teddy. I'm a teddy bear. And you're like, just stop, Ted. Stop.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look on him at all.
No. Why does Ted watch porn from the 1910s? It's hilarious, but I don't understand why he done it, and I don't understand why he finds it so funny. Like every time
he found it in a cupboard, didn't he?
Yeah, But every time there's boobs, he bursts into hysterical laughter and curls in a ball while smoking weed.
Because he's stoned, man. Everything's hilarious when he's stoned.
Maybe he's just a virgin. You get one of these kids when you're at school,
Yeah.
they laugh at everyone saying, you're a virgin, ha ha ha. And anytime he sees boobs, he's like, ha ha ha, because he's so nervous. And that's probably why he never done anything with anyone, because he's a virgin and he's scared. And he puts that on to his friend and pretends that his friend is actually him. So maybe that's his kind of persona. He's just one of these goofballs.
Yeah, I like it when someone. Yeah, I like it when you're here, Barry, because you have deep insights into movies as opposed to being Mark and just go, ha, boobies.
It's just a Friday the 13th movie. It's not a Shawshank,
though. Anyway, Jimmy gives Twin 2 a good seeing to, and then checks that he performed well. And she basically says, you performed excellently. So he goes downstairs to mock Ted with a pair of her panties and grab some wine to celebrate his not so premature ejaculation. By this time, Doug and Sarah have gone upstairs, and I am assuming this is Sarah's first time and it's her loss of her virginity. And I think they handle this quite well. I think it's quite a delicate way to do it. But Jimmy can't find the bottle opener. Thankfully, Jason found it. I cannot describe how much this would hurt when he stabs that into the back of his hand and pins him to the desk, to the kitchen side with it.
It looks brutal.
And then, did they get a machete to the face after it?
Like
yeah,
yeah,
meat cleaver to the face straight afterwards. It's
again looks fantastic.
Yeah, a horrible way to die. But really awful. But this is where I start to question Jason's movements and his abilities. So he's killed Jimmy downstairs in the kitchen. He's then gone upstairs, I'm guessing through the room where Ted is watching porn, and he's made his way outside upstairs onto a balcony where he pulls Twin 2 through the window and down 2 stories to her death before going back downstairs to kill Ted while he watches porn. I kind of don't understand Jason's movements here. Like, how does he get from downstairs to the upstairs balcony without going past Ted? Is it a Michael Myers Halloween 4 thing? All of a sudden he can teleport.
You've seen Scream, man. You've seen when Randy's stoned downstairs on the sofa and Ghostface is walking around behind him and stuff. He's stoned, man. He's stoned on the sofa watching porn. Jason's just creeping around.
But even from Jason's perspective, why would he walk past Ted to go upstairs to then come back downstairs to then go back upstairs in a minute when he goes to kill the next person?
Maybe they didn't see him.
Stoned. Yeah, maybe. I was like, he's having a good time. I'll catch him later.
He's just getting his steps in. The kill in the shower when he kills Doug is great, where he reaches in.
Doug, man. Doug turns up halfway through this movie. He's not in it at the beginning.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
When? I've seen this twice now. I have watched this twice, and Doug does not turn up until like the party scene later on.
No, he's in the car on the way with them.
Yeah, and he's skinny dipping at the lake. He's there with the twins. He's one. He's
just got a generic face.
He has.
It looks like Kristen Jenner before she was Kristen Jenner.
Yeah.
Is it Kristen Jenner? Which is the one who is not Kristen anymore?
No, Bruce Jenner is now.
Bruce Jenner
is now Kristen Jenner.
Yeah, he looks like Kristen Jenner when she was no longer Kristen Jenner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he was there all along.
I don't think he was, guys. I think we need to go back and watch
I'm actually looking at it right now. I can see it on my screen.
Can you actually?
Yeah, I'm watching the film.
No.
The kill's great, and I also love the fact that he adopts what later becomes the axe from the Hatchet franchise to take out Sarah. And 100% Hatchet stole this axe from this movie. It's exactly the same. The double-edged curved blade axe.
I didn't want her to die though. I felt that was unfair.
Yeah, she was probably the least offensive of all of the characters. She didn't get involved in any of the skinny dipping. She was, in essence, living a good life, but she broke Jason's cardinal rule. She had sex at the lake.
That's
And this
true.
is it, because they do a good job of building her up as if she's going to be the final girl up until this point. Like, they set her up for that arc.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't get involved with all the skinny dipping. She's very quiet and well reserved. She doesn't get involved in the drinking and stuff like that. So you're like, oh, she's going to be the one to defeat Jason at the end. And then obviously she gets deflowered by Doug and immediately gets an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like characters like that. I like characters that you watch in a film and you kind of get to know, you latch on to, and you think that they're going to be the final girl. And when they die, whether you love them or not, you kind of feel for them a little bit. Like, I didn't think that person was going to die. That's a shame. So yeah, I kind of felt for her as well, because she wasn't the worst, and she didn't annoy me. So she was pretty cool.
Yeah. Back at the Jarvis house, Tommy and Trish have realised that their mum has gone missing. And Trish leaves a small boy on his own at home to repair the lights that are not working, while she goes into the forest at night on her own to look for a man she met 3 hours ago.
And this is so strange as well, because he told her about the Jason stuff before he left and went off. So, like, she knows what's happened, like, a couple of nights ago. Her mum's now gone missing. And then she leaves her 10-year-old brother in the house on his own. I just found this a really bizarre choice for her to make.
Yeah, and I find it like anyone, whenever I watch a movie and someone leaves a young child at home, I've got young kids. And when I see someone leave a young child at home, I just go, why are you doing that? There's nothing that's that important. Or if it is, take the kid with you. Don't leave them on their own. They will hurt themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems strange. Strange choices.
Again, that's the 80s for you.
Oh, 100%. Like in the 80s, it was out the door in the morning, come back when the streetlights go off, and you grab a sandwich at a friend's house. It was a different time. Rob's got issues of his own when she finds him. He's been plagued a little bit by Jason stalking his tent, and he nearly kills her with a machete. Again, the only reason he's got the machete is to basically give it to Jason later. We now find out that this is where Rob gives the full exposition of he's related to Sandra from the Best Friday movie, Part 2, and he's out for revenge on Jason. This is a cool plot idea, and why we never had a Friday the 13th movie where it was just a group of people going out to hunt Jason. I don't know why that never happened. That should have been the next movie.
Yeah, like a vigilante mode kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 15 burly, strong guys with guns and knives going out to hunt Jason, and Jason being on the back foot for half of the movie, I think would be an excellent idea.
Like Halloween
characters like, Halloween 4. This is how Ted Hollister got killed.
Yeah, exactly.
R.I.P. Ted.
Oh shit, Earl, it's Ted Hollister.
Rob and Trish go back to the house and immediately leave Tommy again to go next door and investigate. And this is where Tommy finds all of Rob's newspaper clippings of all of the things that happen with Jason in the first movie and all the things about Pamela Voorhees. And he starts to sit down and read them. I'm not a huge fan of Rob, but he did not deserve the most brutal kill in the movie. He goes down into the basement. Go on, Barry, I'll let you take this.
It says, I can't remember. He's like, he's killing me.
He's
I'm like,
killing
no
me.
shit.
It's like that scene from Austin Powers. What's the one where it's like, he stabbed me. Oh, the knife. It is going in. And now it is coming out.
It was like that. Remember, what's the film again? Was it Troll 2 with the boy with the fly in his head?
Yeah.
He's like, he's eating him, and then he's going to eat me. That's what it just reminds me of. It was so silly.
It's just so funny, man. It's so funny. Every time I watch it, I just crack up at this scene. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. And yeah, a hero's death.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you take that dialogue out of it, if you take him going, he's killing me away, it's a really brutal kill. Jason just bludgeons him to death with a hammer for about 40 seconds, repeatedly hitting him.
And
But
that's the thing, it does go on for a very long period of time, and the entire time it's happening, he repeatedly says, "He's killing me." He must say it at least 15 times in this scene.
Trish being chased by Jason is borderline a Tom and Jerry episode. He chases her around the house and she can't go through certain doors because he's blocked the doors with bodies. And then she runs across to the other, and it's purely a device to get her from house 1 to house 2. But you could easily take this scene and stick the Benny Hill music behind it, and it would still work.
Yeah.
I can feel a reel coming on.
There may be a reel when this episode comes out. When Trish gets there, she locks all the doors and starts locking all the windows. I love the fact that Jason has the Rob key that he uses to get through the window, where he just picks up the massive bloke he bludgeoned earlier and throws him through the window.
There's a lot of stuff in this as well where he does like setups where he puts like dead bodies at doors and goes full Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But then we don't actually see him doing it or the actual purpose of it. I remember one scene where he just like darts out of a door and there's just like a body pinned above the door for him. He just like rips his hands off. I'm like, oh, that was nasty.
Yeah.
But I can't remember him doing that or setting that up.
No, he does that quite a bit in the franchise. He does a lot of body positioning, same as Michael does, but Jason does it better.
He positions his mum's head on that little stall thing with the candles and stuff. This Friday the 13th film reminds me more of the game than any other film for some reason. I don't know if you've ever played the Friday
that, but I've heard it's great.
Yeah, well, it was great until it got cancelled. But I think a lot of the things that happen in this film happen in the game, like throwing the bodies through the window to get into the house, and then he bashes through the door to get into the cabins and stuff. A lot of that happens in the game, and it reminds me of the game. This film.
Yeah, I mean, even down to in the very early parts of that game, you've got a broken down car and two people working on the broken down car. Yeah, I was a huge fan of that game and played it quite a bit. And when they decided they were closing the servers because of the rights being sold, I was not particularly pleased.
Where are the rights currently? Have they sorted that shit out now? Are they friends again?
They've sorted it, but they're still. Sean Cunningham he's letting them do Crystal Lake TV show, but he still owns the rights to Jason Voorhees, so he can still do an adult Jason film at the same time as Crystal Lake.
Oh so we've got the Brian Fuller one coming out, haven't we? Is that this year or next?
Well, they're filming this year, but it's going to be set for next year on Peacock, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
So they can coincide with each other, or Sean Cunningham might not make one, but at least we're still getting something.
Yeah, my understanding of that is they've got access to the full timeline as well, so they can do lots of jumping back and doing jumping forward and showing things that have happened in the future and coming back. So from what I understand, they can kind of go wherever they want to with it. And I'd love it to be a setup that it's Jason reliving the memories while he's waking up, and then the close of the season be him sitting up. And then that leads us into another movie. I think that would be a really cool way to go with it.
Yeah, the thing is with Brian Fuller. The thing is with Brian Fuller as well, he plays a long game. If you take Hannibal, for instance, that's such a shame because that could have gone on to be something so epic had he got another couple of seasons out of it. But you know from the first season or two that he's kind of set things up slowly before they finally culminate in something important. So I think if we do all decide to get behind this TV show, don't take season one for what you kind of want it to be, because he's probably going to play the same sort of game again and just set it up and slowly drip it in, so that instead of each individual season having a beginning and an end, it's going to tell one continuous story over maybe like 6 or 7 seasons. So I hope everyone supports it and lets him just have free creative control with it, because I think it'll be really cool if he has that power.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Tommy runs upstairs as his sister is being brutally attacked in the living room and starts to shave his head. Trish fights off Jason more convincingly than any other character in the entire franchise. We've seen him earlier grab someone's head and spin it all the way around, or half the way around. But she manages to pull his hands clean off her and kick him off multiple times. Tommy comes downstairs and he looks like a budget Walter White. And he starts screaming, "Do you remember me? Do you remember me?" Which it distracts Jason, but I don't think Jason's as stupid as they portray him. I'm 100% of the opinion Jason's looking at him going, "Are you taking the piss out of me?" I think it's more a rage building than it's not like the moment we got in part 2 where he's convinced it's his mum. I think this is he's very aware he is him, and he's looking at this kid going, "Why have you shaved your head? Why are you screaming at me?"
Yeah, I disagree with you in that sense because I do feel like he's still got that childlike mindset within him. And I feel like it's a cool juxtaposition to the second one, where in the end of that, they trick him into thinking it's his mum. In this one, they're tricking him into thinking it's himself, kind of thing. I think it works really well in this movie to a certain degree. I get where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily think that. I think that he did buy into it. I did think that he was falling for it, similar to what he did in the second one. It was cool, but yeah, it didn't land as well as it should have done. But I think it works for this movie.
Yeah, I think it works better than it should have worked. I think what made it work more than it did, or more than it should, was Corey Feldman's performance as Tommy. I think if it was any other kid, like a standard kid who couldn't really act, then it might have not worked. But because it's him and he's so good in everything that he was in back then, I think it worked, and they got across what they kind of wanted to do. You see films like Freddy versus Jason, where Jason's a little boy again. Freddy makes him feel like he's a little boy, and that was a little bit silly. But this one felt more realistic in an unrealistic film.
Yeah. Was this Feldman? Yeah. This was Feldman's first, wasn't it? Because I think Gremlins came out the same year, but later on in the year.
Yeah.
And Goonies was a year after or 2 years.
Goonies was 85. Yeah.
So a year after, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Corey Feldman in the 80s just had banger after banger after banger. Yeah. He was fantastic in the 80s. Trish hits Jason with the machete and knocks his mask off. The face underneath is cool. It's one of the better exposed Jason faces we get in the franchise. Trish drops the machete and Jason spins back round to turn the attention to her. And this is where Tommy picks it up and buries it in the side of his head. The effect when he falls and hits the floor and you get the machete going through his head as he slides down it is practical effects at its absolute peak. It's so good.
Brilliant. And the thing is, as well, it doesn't just go up because it kind of comes across as well. So he's almost like falling into it and it kind of goes up and across his head. Because I just thought, maybe it's just a little bit of side damage. He could live that. But no, but as he's sliding down, it starts to cut across the top of his forehead as well. If it's literally going to cut the top of his skull off. I was like, that is amazing. I don't know how they managed to get it to look like that, like they did. So cool.
Yeah, that was the Thing level practical effects in that one scene. That's so good.
Yeah. Trish and Tommy have a cuddle and Jason twitches on the floor and Tommy goes full psycho and picks up the machete and just goes at Jason, screaming and wailing, and kind of just Trish is there in shock. The movie ends with Tommy and Trish in the hospital. So Tommy's gone to visit her. And it ends with Tommy just staring off in a psychotic way, sort of at the camera. And you know that the torch has been passed to him. And then they completely abandoned it and didn't follow it through in the following movie, which is criminal.
Yeah, it's like
another franchise did that as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I would say, like at the beginning, they couldn't copy Halloween 4 because that was 4 years later. But you just had that Jamie Lloyd moment when you were watching it, and you just imagine Dr. Loomis coming and going, "No, no." But you can kind of see the similarities. Obviously, Halloween 4 came 4 years later, and maybe they got inspiration from the final chapter. You've even got, Tommy Doyle as the kid in Friday the 13th. Tommy, what's his name again?
Jarvis.
Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th, and you've got Tommy Doyle in Halloween. So obviously the names of the two male kids are the same. And then Jamie Lloyd goes ahead and does something similar to what Tommy Jarvis does in Friday the 13th. So I think they obviously take ideas from each other and inspiration, and why not? Because it's the same subgenre, and the subgenres at the time nobody liked them, so they might as well just borrow from each other.
Yeah,
I mean, they're practically the same killer, let's be honest, apart from one seasons himself on Halloween and the other one likes the hot weather. So they're the same in that sense. So you can understand why they would sort of not only compete with each other, but also borrow ideas from each other's franchise. The ending for me was all right. I didn't mind it. It was okay. I like the fact that he started unleashing on Jason. I was like, that's cool. Like, don't just think that that's the end. Make sure that that is the end, finish the job. So that was good. The ending, as much as we all like to take away from it and say, yes, it's almost as if he's being passed the torch, I think that's all down to perception, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily say that that's what's happening, or at least influence you to think that that's what's happening. You just automatically go to that point with it. He could just be sat there traumatized by the events, which if that's the case, then it does continue on in part 5.
Yeah, but why call it Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and then leave it with a sort of cliffhanger? Or they could say it's the final Jason. I don't know, but they've called it the final chapter. It almost felt like the final chapter until the very end, and you're like, right. So are you planning on doing like a Tommy Jarvis?
That actually wasn't supposed to be in the movie. The director, when he did that scene at the end, he filmed that on the basis of, well, I've got everybody here, I've got the cast here, I'm filming this final shot. I'll just film it, and then if they ever do decide to make another one, they've got this stock footage that they can kind of take on with them and do what they want with it. In the end, they just decided to bang it on the end as like a little thing. It's like, oh, do you know what? To put it in the movie. So it wasn't actually intentionally supposed to be there with the script. They just chose to do it because the director was like, hey, let's just film it. Everybody's here. And then if they need it on the next movie, they can do. If they ever make one, because this was supposed to be the conclusive film. They weren't supposed to make any more out of this. Paramount had said, that's it, we've done enough, because most of the films before this are all indie funded and they were just Paramount distributed. So Paramount didn't fund them, they just distributed them. It was a whole 80s convoluted thing in terms of distribution and investment. But the people who had worked on the prior movies and this one as well, they were like, we're done now, we've invested a big percentage of our life into these films, we don't want to make any more. So it was supposed to be the end.
And then they went and made 8 more, just for good measure.
Then they went and made a hell of a lot more,
We've got a lot more show coming, but before we dive into that, let's take a quick break. Calling all Red Dwarf fans, do you struggle to find a good podcast that covers Red Dwarf? Struggle no longer. The Aardvark and the Magic Moshi Do Red Dwarf is the ultimate guide to the Red Dwarf universe, covering individual episodes and discussion about the series as a whole, even featuring guests who've appeared in the series itself. Available on all good podcast platforms and yourunpodcast.com. Please note, smegheads need not apply. Welcome back. Let's do some 3-word reviews. So X this week was dominated by members of the network, all jumped in. So Dewey Pod Monster went with Crispin fucking Glover. That's the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. Movie for Days, not quite final. And that's the Movie for Days podcast. Pop Culture Reflections went with Corey fucking Feldman. We've got lots of something fucking things this week. And that's the Pop Culture Reflection podcast. Over on Threads, The Transgression Obsession, Crispin Gets Laid, and they're a personal account. Dark Spawner, A Glorious Classic, and they're a horror author. Over on Instagram, we've got David Wing Photo, Ripe for a Sequel, and they're a writer. One Enthusiastic Horror Fan Official, Crispin Glover Dance, and they're a horror account. Narcotic Casserole, Best Horny Dance, and they're a horror account. And final, we've got Here and Now Movie 2024, Found the Corkscrew, and they're an upcoming horror movie. Mark, what's your favourite this week?
Ripe for a Sequel is my favourite this week. What are you going for, Barry? What's your favourite?
Favourite 3-word review?
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it, but just what was the dance one again? Crispin's dance?
Crispin Glover Dance. That was
Crispin Glover Dance. That's all you need. Crispin Glover Dance.
Yeah.
We've got a new feature that we're going to debut now as well. So 3-word reviews is great on Instagram. It's great on X and Threads and Slasher, but it's not really designed for TikTok. TikTok is a video platform where people like to talk. So I created a new feature called TikTok Talks, where I give someone on TikTok a chance to talk about the movie. As it would happen, former guest Chunky Larry is a huge Friday the 13th fan, and we're now going to share his TikTok talks on Friday the 13th.
Scott, you asked for TikTok talks and how much talk in a TikTok talk if TikTok could talk talks. I was going to stitch your video, but you put that insufferable fucking music under it, so you can't really, like, you can turn your microphone on, but then you get that god-awful music underneath it, and it, also limits the amount of time. And I want the whole 3 minutes, Daddy. I want the whole fucking enchilada, because we're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, ? And before I go into anything, I just want to say for the people watching this on TikTok, spoiler alert for the Friday the 13th franchise, because I'm going to go into plot details in order to discuss my opinions on Friday the 13th Part 4. So for me, Friday the 13th Part 4 is up there. It's not my favorite. My favorite's Friday the 13th Part 3. But this is definitely up there. And it's not because of the Crispin Glover dance, though that's great. And it's not because fucking Corey Feldman's in it, though he's great. It's not because they have twin sisters get naked with each other. That's also great. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. This film, I feel, balances the innocence of youth, the transition into adulthood, and the violence of adulthood very, very fucking well. You get Tommy Jarvis as a little kid, just like giddily rolling around on his bed, watching people change, pretending like he's asleep. Like that is every fucking kid that fucking flipped to Skinamax in the middle of the night and flipped back to the cartoon channels when he heard somebody coming. You get the story of Sarah losing her virginity, and it's done very fucking sweet for a Friday the 13th film. Eddie and Jimmy are pretty much in like a Meatballs movie that just exists outside of this entire fucking film, and I kind of love it. Getting Tom Savini back to do the special makeup effects for what was ostensibly going to be the end of the fucking franchise, I thought was an inspired choice, and them naming the lead character after him and him being a special makeup effects artist who's, an aspiring special makeup effects artist, I thought was also a really fucking sweet touch. This movie infuses comedy in a way that it doesn't detract from what the movie is actually about. The kills in this are fucking great. I think of Doug's death, where he gets the fucking hand pushed into his face while he's in the... I fucking love it. Axel getting the hacksaw and twisted it, like, fuck yeah. It's got my fucking, like, a scene that I always laugh at. He's killing me! He's killing me! I love that shit so much. The introduction of Tommy Jarvis, who becomes a fucking important character in the franchise through the course of the next 2 films, and is a reoccurring character in the fan films. And if you give a shit about fan films, them bringing Tom Matthews back to take his character back and all of that, like, it's fucking rad. This is one of my favorite versions of Jason. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite versions. And at this point, the timeline's not so fucked that you just have to, like, go, fuck it, and just kind of throw your hands up and just say, I'm getting dumb, mindless fucking horror for the sake of dumb, mindless horror. That we will get in a couple of installments. I am personally of the belief, or at least I was for a very long time, that the first 4 films are fucking fantastic and untouchable. Now I feel like it's the first 6. And, the very first one, I can kind of do without. If I didn't ever watch it again, I wouldn't necessarily care. But the Jason Voorhees arc has an end, and then they're passing the torch on to Tommy Jarvis at the end of this movie. And I liked that idea. I liked where they were going with that. And then they just abandoned ship at the 6th film because everybody wants fucking Jason Voorhees. They don't want Tommy Jarvis as the killer. Okay, I went a little bit longer than 3 minutes, but a lot of that was like preface with me, saying, hey, this is a spoiler, and Scott, your music taste is awful. so I'm sorry, but no, here you go. One last note: Barbara Howard, who played the character Sarah, who I thought was tremendous in this film, went on to become a psychotherapist. Take with that information what you will. Have a good day.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's our first TikTok talks, and Larry covered it all. I don't think you missed
I love
anything,
Larry.
did he? Larry's
No,
great.
I love him. He looks like the kind of guy who would give great cuddles, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a dark room alone with him.
I think that's probably quite an accurate description, Larry. And anyone who's watching on YouTube who doesn't follow Larry on TikTok, the link's in the episode description, and you actually get to see him now as well. Mark, it's time for you to get your notes.
Yep, on it.
It's that time of the week. Time for Mark to recommend an account.
So this week's recommended account is 8020 Studio. Fairly new recent account on Instagram, but they do something quite unique and cool, so I thought I'd bring it to everybody's attention. This guy clearly likes drinking beer, and he clearly likes horror films, and that sounds like a perfect combination to me. So what he does is he has a big Stein glass where he drinks his beer out of, and then once he's finished drinking his beer, he tips it up like that, and he takes a photo through the glass onto the TV, which gives like a distorted bottom of a bottle of beer kind of effect on it. And it shows like a particular scene from a certain horror movie. You have to just guess what kind of horror film it is that he's watching. He does the same thing with reels and things like that. It's an interesting account. It's a lot of fun. And if you're into horror movie and you like playing these kind of quizzy things on Instagram where you have to guess the sort of, sometimes they'll play like a certain scene and you're like, oh, I know what that's from. And then you'll spend the entire day racking your brain trying to remember what movie it's from without going into the comment section to cheat. It's one of those kind of accounts. So if you like that kind of stuff and you like playing guessing games on Instagram rather than just scrolling mindless stuff, this is a great account to do that with. So yeah, check him out. It's 8020 Studios, and that's the letters, not the numbers. Great guy, and as always, let him know the You Run podcast sent you.
Yeah, always let them know that the You Run podcast sent you, because that is the most important part about this. Is we're bringing people to their channel, and we want them to know we're doing that. It's something we're doing to help build the community, so everyone knows who everyone is, and that's why Mark does recommended account, to show you accounts that you might miss otherwise. Let's do some facts. So, as you mentioned earlier, the Crispin Glover dance was improvised. It's based on how he was dancing in the clubs when they were going out in the evening. And he was actually dancing to AC/DC when he done that dance, which makes it even funnier because that is not how you dance to AC/DC.
It is if you're Crispin Glover.
Yeah. Ted White, who plays Jason Voorhees in this, would not talk to any of the other actors when they weren't filming. He decided that by talking to them would diminish the fear level of Jason. So he thought it was better not to talk to them at all, and just basically when he was Jason, he scared them. When he wasn't, he didn't say anything. At this time, this installment contained the most nudity and gore of any of the other movies. It actually contained more nudity and gore than 1 and 2 combined.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I said earlier, I thought this one was like pretty high up there. Does it get overtaken later on?
Yeah, it gets well overtaken later on.
Oh, does
Yeah,
well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, something that we spoke about earlier as well. Like, there's a couple of kills in the first hour, but it really ramps up in the last hour to the end of the movie, and that's when the kills just come every 2 minutes. I think it is every 2-3 minutes, just boom, boom, boom. So yeah,
it's a
definitely.
reoccurring theme with these films. As soon as nightfall and the rain hits, you know shit's going down.
Yeah.
The writer wanted Trish to have a scene with Jason that the director, Joseph Zito, vetoed and said, this is not happening. If this happens, I'm walking out. So what they wanted to happen was there be a scene where Trish was asleep with her bare breast exposed and Jason was going to fondle her breast.
Yeah, I would not have been okay with that.
It's something he's never done before.
Yeah, it doesn't go in his tone.
It really doesn't fit his wheelhouse. In a Freddy movie, 100% I would buy Freddy having a grope of a breast, but
yeah,
Jason, no, it just doesn't fit at all. So I'm glad the director's dug his heels in and that didn't happen. When Jason's hand moves in the morgue, that wasn't meant to happen. So, you know, when his hand drops down, they had already called cut, and that was Ted White moving to get up. And then when they played it back, they thought it looked amazing, and they left it in.
Oh, that's cool.
So that the hand was an accident. So the girl who played Trish, Kimberly Beck, she had some really odd experiences while filming this. She had strange phone calls. She had a man watching her from the trees. She had people following her around. And it all stopped when the filming stopped. And no one knows if it's something that the production company had done to make her performance more authentic, or if it was just generally a guy who lived in the woods or lived nearby who was stalking her.
The old man. Remember the old man from the first two movies? What's his name again?
Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, it's Crazy Ralph.
It broke my heart when they killed Crazy Ralph in the second one. I thought he was going to be a reoccurring character right through.
I think he would have been good had they kept him going. So Rob was originally meant to have high-tech equipment to track Jason down. He was meant to have effectively like Aliens and in Aliens, how they track the aliens. He was meant to be equipped with that level of technology. But the director said the props looked cheap and he didn't buy it. So it never happened. Barbara Howard was willing to wear a bra and panties for one scene, but she refused to go nude. So the producers hired a body double for the nude shower scene. That's not her in the shower.
Ah, okay.
That's normal. That happens quite a lot.
Yeah, it does. Judy Anderson, who's one of the twins, she spent hours, tens of hours, naked in front of the entire crew because the director refused to have a closed set and a smaller crew because it would take longer to film the scene, which is that's a horrible thing from the 80s. That's just a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the thing is about stuff like that now, she's probably like really, really old, and she looks back on this and thinks, wow, I look fucking great back then.
There is that.
Hey, man, it's cemented now in cinema history. She can go back and be like, look, do you know what? I know I look old now, but look at me then. I look fucking brilliant.
Well, there is that.
Show it to the family. Show it to the kids and the grandkids.
Yeah, the grandkids. Now, something I've been waiting for a while, probably more so than ever since Barry started messaging to say how good he is at the quizzes.
Oh, no.
I think it's time we play Broken Spirit.
I told you, I want to play a game.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
The power of Christ compelled you.
What have you done to its eyes?
Well, it's elevated horror.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You're going to like it.
I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
How was that the slaughterhouse?
All right, you primitive screwhead, listen up.
Oh, I know this one, you fuck.
I love playing the music, and one of the favorite things that we do before this was on YouTube is watching the guest, because this music, I can see there's taking a swallow, shoulders are going to get prepared, and now everyone watching on YouTube can see it as well, and it's so much fun. Who would you like to go first? Would you like me to do the first question, or would you like Mark to go first? I'll explain the rules as well once you've chosen.
I was going to say, it's been a while since we've done Broken Spirit, so you better give a rundown of how this works.
Yeah. So Broken Spirit is 15 questions. There's no multiple choice. It's either you know it or you don't.
Okay.
Everyone you get correct, you get 10 points. You can walk away with your points at any time. So if you get 5 right and you don't know the next one, you can walk away with your 50 points. If you get one question wrong, you lose all your points and you leave with nothing.
We do have a leaderboard as well. Remember,
do I get to hear the question before I walk away?
Yes. Yeah, you can hear the question. Yeah, you can hear the question.
Yeah, this isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
No lifelines.
So who would you like to start the quiz, me or Mark?
Do you mean ask me the first question?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
If I choose one person over the other person, does that mean it's different types of questions? Or
No.
No.
It's exactly the same all the way through.
Right. I'm going to start with Scott.
Okay. Question number 1. What killer famously wears a hockey mask?
Is it Jason Voorhees?
It is correct. 10 points.
Question number 2. What is the name of the popular fan film franchise featuring Jason Voorhees?
It's the Never Hike Alone franchise.
That is correct. Well done. That's 20 points.
You're doing well. They do get harder as we go along. Question number 3. What year was the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street released?
2010.
That's correct. 30 points.
Question number 4. Including the remake, can you tell me how many Child's Play / Chucky movies there have been in total? So we're not including the TV series, just the movies, including the remake.
8.
That is correct. Well done. Can you name them just out of curiosity?
1, 2, 3. Bride, Seed, Curse, Cult, Remake.
Well done. Most people usually get Curse and Cult the wrong way around. You got them in the right order.
Wow, I'm very impressed. So that's 40 points. Question number 5. How does the final girl, Sally, escape Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
She escapes him. Well, I'll explain it, or just.
So the final escape, when she gets away from Leatherface, how does she get away?
So she's about to try to go on the truck with Ed Gwynn, and she ends up getting away from him, and then she jumps on the back of a little pickup truck where Leatherface zooms his chainsaw. Is that enough answer? Or?
Yeah.
More than enough, yeah.
That's all we needed was she jumped on a moving pickup truck.
Oh, no, okay.
You nailed it. Yeah, well done. 50 points.
Question number 6. Which 1920s monster movie features a climactic scene where the creature is defeated by sunlight reflecting off mirrors?
I think I know the answer, because it seems like an obvious answer.
Usually the obvious answer is the right answer.
Right, I'm going to say Nosferatu.
That's correct. Well done. I would have accepted Dracula as well, because they both have similar endings.
Right, question number 7. Which Japanese horror movie features a cursed videotape that kills the viewer 7 days after watching it?
Ringu.
Yeah, that's correct. Wow, you're absolutely killing it. 70 points. I'm getting nervous now. You might break it.
I am.
I don't know.
I said we'd do it. Question number 8. In the Blair Witch Project, which iconic line, I think we're lost, is spoken by which character?
Oh, no.
I can repeat the question if you need me to.
Repeat it anyway. Repeat the question.
In the Blair Witch Project, the iconic line, I think we're lost, is spoken by which character?
You don't forget you can walk away with your points, so you're on 70 points at the moment.
Oh, no.
The thing is, with the Blair Witch Project, there's 3 characters, so you've kind of got like a 35% chance of getting it right. What's your heart telling you?
I think we're lost.
We won't take it as your answer, but what are you thinking at the moment?
I'm just trying to picture the scene and picture the voice. Try to visualize the voice. I think we're lost. Right. I think it's Heather. I'm just picturing her going, I think we're lost. And then Josh saying, what do you mean we're lost? You've got the map. You've got the map, Heather.
Are you
And
going
then
to go?
A very good fucking memory, by the way.
And then Mike moaning about it. I'm only here once. I'm going to say Heather.
That is the correct answer. Well done. That's amazing, by the way. That is amazing that you can pretty much verbatim read the entire script of the Blair Witch Project.
Was that how it went? I think that's how it went.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Question number 9. Which Stephen King based film famously ends with the protagonist diving into a supernatural mist, unsure of their fate?
A Stephen King film?
So it's based on a Stephen King novel. Famously ends with the protagonist diving into a supernatural mist, unsure of their fate.
I mean, the use of the word diving might throw you off there. He doesn't dive as if he's going swimming into a mist.
No, kind of more ambles into a mist.
Goes into a mist not knowing his fate. This sounds obvious to me, and I don't know why I'm not getting this.
I think this is probably one of the most obvious questions in that. The name of the movie's in the question. That's a huge clue.
Well, I'm thinking that, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in the movie though. So I'm kind of wondering. Well, as far as I can remember, the film I'm thinking of, the guy is on his knees, screaming at the air, looking up into the sky.
That comes next.
As the military comes.
Yeah, that comes next.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'm going to say The Mist then.
That is correct.
Right,
we kind of gifted that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kills everybody in the car and he's run out of bullets, so he ambly walks into the mist, unknowing his fate.
Ah, right, okay.
And then obviously the mist clears.
Right. I definitely knew that then.
Yeah, you definitely did. I'm so surprised that question came so late on in the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that's half the problem, is because it's so late on in the quiz.
If it was the first question, I would have said The Mist, I think.
You would have done straight away, yeah. Question number 10. In the audition, which seemingly harmless object becomes a gruesome torture device in the film's climax?
Never seen the movie, but I can picture the poster.
Think about it.
Don't forget, you could walk away. You're on 90 points at the moment.
So what was the question again?
In audition, which seemingly harmless object becomes a gruesome torture device in the film's final climax?
I wish there was an American remake. I probably would have seen that.
It wouldn't be as good, don't worry.
I'm trying to picture the poster. Is that the 1999 film? Japanese?
Yes.
Was it 99? I thought it was 2000.
It might be 2002.
I think it's 2001 or 2002.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the one you are thinking of.
Again, I'm just going to have to guess this one. I can imagine people coming on your show and getting more than 90 points. I'm on 90.
You're on 90.
Yeah, you're on 90 points. This is for 100 points. But listen, you don't have to guess it. If you guess it, you will lose everything. If you walk away on 90 points, that's a solid score, and we'll put you quite high up on the leaderboard.
Well,
if you get this wrong and you guess it wrong, you walk away with nothing. And you will join me in bottom place. And Scott, I think you're sat there nicely with me, aren't you?
Yeah, well, last year's leaderboard scrapped. We haven't played this year. But yeah,
so we're starting again, are we?
Yeah, if you get it wrong, you'll be bottom of the leaderboard. If you get it right or you walk away, you're top of the leaderboard.
No,
Technically, you're the first contestant, so
yeah.
Either way, if you get it wrong and you go with nothing, you're still going to be top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm just going to guess. I have to guess. I can't leave. So the device that you use, I'm not going to say the answer is final yet, but I'm thinking of like a needle. Oh, wait, I thought you left.
What are you going to do?
I'm just picturing some sort of needle device. I wish I'd seen the movie. Do you know what? I'm just going to call it quits. I can't do it. My final answer is I don't know. I'm taking the money.
Okay, well, that's great. You're on 90 points, top of the leaderboard. The answer was a porcelain doll. So had you gone with a needle, you'd have been very, very wrong.
Wow.
If I haven't actually seen Audition, but if you'd have asked me that question, I would have said piano wire. For some reason, that rings a bell. Is there a scene with piano wire in that movie?
I thought the poster. Well, let me just.
It does. It has a needle on the poster.
Yeah.
And it's 1999 as well.
I was
Oh,
99.
is it?
See.
I nearly threw you then, didn't I?
So yeah, there's a needle in the poster. That's why I was thinking a needle. But
Yeah, no, that movie's, if anyone's not seen Audition, it is a wild, interesting, obscure ride. And the closing acts of that movie are very difficult to watch, I think is the best way to describe it.
I haven't seen it. I need to know what happens with the porcelain doll. Tell us, spoiler alerts for anybody who hasn't seen Audition. Scott's going to reveal what happens with the porcelain doll.
No, I'm not. I'm going to save
you,
it.
man.
You need to watch it.
So I'm going to have to go see it now.
Yeah, you are. Let's do some roundups. I'm going to take roundup on this first because mine is short and sweet. This lives on the lower end of the Friday the 13th scale for me. As far as I'm concerned, like practical effects are perfect in this, but nothing else really hit for me. I don't really care about any of the teens. Jason doesn't feel that menacing threat that I felt he was in two and the first one. In 2 and 3. I don't know if it's something about fourth installments of movies. So Friday the 13th, the final chapter, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, Halloween 4.
No, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Halloween 4 is the greatest movie ever made.
It's like when you get to Part 4 on franchises, like slasher franchise, like the wheels fall off. It's just bizarre. It's not a bad movie. It's genuinely not a bad movie. It just doesn't do it for me. Given a choice of the entire franchise, I would not pick this movie. I just wouldn't. I don't really have a lot to say. It's fine. It's okay. It's average. It's 2.5 out of 5. Mark, where are you with this?
So for me, I'm going to start with the negatives that I have with this film before I actually highlight what I did like. So the negatives are that I found it very unfocused. The sort of split narrative that we get between Trish and her family and the guys at the lake house, it doesn't meld well enough for me throughout. We get glimpses of each side of things before it doesn't find focus of who the final girl is. So by the time we come to the penultimate act, we don't really have enough reason to get behind Trish for her to justify being the final act for this movie, which is why it kind of loses merits for that alone. If you don't follow her enough throughout the film in order to her to be justified to be the final girl of this film, I think had they more focused on the girl who died with the axe earlier on, I can't remember her name. Samantha, one of the two. She should have maybe been the one to lead the forefront and go on, maybe reunite with Trish and then them together be the final girls, because it's so split and so divisive throughout the film. And again, because of that reason, I've probably called every character the wrong name throughout this whole podcast episode, because there is not enough focus on any individual group of people for you to get enough time to get comfortable with who they are. And so that's one of my main gripes with it, is the unfocusedness of it. My second biggest issue is that 1, 2, and 3 prior to this spend the entire time sort of crafting this narrative around Jason and how he's this childlike creature and his naivety and his sort of vulnerability as a character. By the time we get to the 4th movie, all of that is just forgotten and he's just a relentless, ruthless killer, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's very enjoyable to watch him go around and massacring all these young teens and doing what he does, which is something that he'll probably likely go on and do for the rest of the franchise. Will just be a zombie-less, merciless killer. But I think 1, 2, and 3 do such a good job of making his vulnerability a focus of the movie, and it's just kind of lost in this one. So they're my two main negatives for the movie. However, the positives are that I feel like this is the most highly produced Friday the 13th movie so far. It looks the best. The cinematography direction is probably the strongest it's been with the movies prior to it. The acting ability from everybody involved is also the strongest that we've seen in this franchise so far. The fact that Tom Savini comes back and takes charge of the practical effects is some of the best in the franchise for me. Again, just know that I'm only up to part 5 at this point. I think he does a fantastic job in this movie. Some of the kills in this is probably some of the best we get in horror movies from the 80s, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, as a whole, even though I'm criticizing Jason's character development prior to what it was before this, I think as it is, as an 80s mindless slasher, it's fucking enjoyable, man. There's not really a lot to hate. I mean, if you're a big Friday fan, I can understand why you would have a lot of issues with this film because of some of the stuff that they neglect to focus on. But as a whole, it's a good 80s late night, friends staying over, popcorn kind of movie. I had a great time with it. It's the strongest I've seen out of the franchise so far. So it's a 3.5 for me out of 5.
Good score. Barry?
Yeah, I think I've got more positives than negatives. I would say I'll start with my negative. I think my only negative was Rob, the hitchhiking guy, the guy who turned up. I think he, like we mentioned in the show, he didn't really have a place in the film, and if you took him out, the film would still be the same. I think the issue with him was he had a side story that wasn't really developed, and they could have developed that story into something, but they decided not to. They gave us a little bit of it, enough to make us go, do you know what? We want to know more. But before we found out more, he was like, you're killing me, or he's killing me. So we didn't really get into that. So I think that's my only negative, though. I think most of the film was a positive for me. I think the characters were probably the most rounded characters in the franchise so far. But like you said, Mark, there's so many characters that you forget all their names. I can't remember all their names, but I still liked them because we got a full hour with these characters. We got to know them, apart from their names. We got to know them. We felt for them, and we just watched them have a good time. So yes, I think there was a lot of times where maybe they could have done something, but I think just hanging about made me feel like I was one of them. I was part of their crew. I was just hanging with them, watching the movies, dancing, listening to music. So the characters were the strongest for me. So that anytime any of them died, it's not that I felt for them, but I felt, I don't really want them to die. And then it happens. So characters were great. The main characters were also good for me. I liked Trish. I liked Tommy. The introduction to Tommy was great. Him being a little kid, because me watching this film, I was a little kid, so I could resonate with him just like I could with Jamie in Halloween 4. That's kind of, if you're a kid, you go for those types of films where you've got a character that you can see yourself in. So Tommy being my age when I watched the movie, I loved it so much. I love Corey Feldman anyway. Jason, I'm not a massive fan of Jason because I love Michael Myers, but I think this is being the last grounded Jason. It was a great end to the grounded Jason character as well. The practical effects were fantastic. I love the mood, the atmosphere, the aesthetic, even the score and the soundtrack, or especially the score. I think it was still Harry Manfredini that done it?
Yes,
Sure
it was. Yeah.
Score's great. I mean, it just reminds me of the good old days. Anytime I watch a Friday the 13th movie and just hearing a little background score, even when it was subtle, when they were running about and stuff, you could just hear it in the background. It was great. Brings back great memories. I think we've got apart from Newmark, but we've seen all the Friday the 13th films. So seeing them all and picking some of our favourites, it's easy to pick Friday the 13th Part 4 out as one of my favourites. But had you not seen the rest of them, maybe you'd be a little bit more critical of it until you watch some of the worst ones in the franchise. So having seen them all, sat back for 30 years and looked at them all, I think the final chapter stands on its own 2 feet. I think it stands the test of time as well. So I thought it was one of the best Friday the 13th films. I won't spoil any of the ones in the future for you, Mark, but I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, good
Brilliant.
scores across the board.
Just to touch up on what you said as well, Barry, is like for me, I feel like I've been overcritical of the unfocusedness of the characters and stuff. But as you mentioned, you're a fan of these. You've seen these growing up. I've only seen this film. I watched it for the second time as a rewatch for the podcast tonight. But obviously on my second watch, I knew who the characters were this second time around. So I found myself more invested in them. But that sort of critique that I've just given it then was based on my initial watch and was
Yeah.
one of the main focuses I took away from the film. But give this another 2-3 watches down the line, maybe next year, a year after, I'll be going back and be like, I'll know who every character is when they come on screen, and I will be more invested in them, and
Yeah.
I will be more focused on them. And this is still, as it stands now, my highest rating Friday the 13th film. I think they're a very consistent franchise. It's just very middling consistent all the way through. But as a peak, this is the peak for me, is part 4. So I think a couple of rewatches down the road, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's that character, and I'll be like well invested in them. There is a lot to digest for a first time watch, which is where my initial problems came with it. But yeah, I think if you grew up with this movie, I wouldn't fault you in the slightest if you was like, this is the best in the franchise, because I would agree with you in my perspective so far.
When it comes to the acting as well, I think the acting in part 4 is superior to most of the ones in the franchise, because it is still a kind of rich film, even though you said the first 3 were kind of independently made. This one didn't feel like it was cheap. It felt like a really a big proper Hollywood film. No expense spared, because everything looked great. The acting was great, and the practicals were great.
Yeah, Paramount pumped a lot into this in terms of advertising and things like that, because it was the final chapter. There was like, we're killing him, that's it. So there was a lot of investment from Paramount to make this a success, and that shows, as far as I'm concerned, when you watch it.
Yeah, and here we are 30 years later waiting for the series to start of the same franchise that they were going to end back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Sad, isn't it?
Barry, I said we were going to circle back round to it. Can you tell everyone about your channel? And before you do, everyone go and subscribe to Barry's channel. It is worth doing. The content that Barry pumps out, I'm going to big it up more than Barry does, because Barry's a very reserved man.
Yeah.
The content that Barry pumps out, especially around things like Scream and Halloween and countdowns and things like that, Barry is as good as it gets on YouTube. Okay, Barry, now you can plug it.
Yeah, you said all I wanted to say. So yeah, if you don't know me, guys, if you're listening or watching, my name's Barry. I run the channel Wolfman's Got Nards. It's now become the biggest horror-related channel in the UK. It used to be just Scotland, but it's now the UK. That's the biggest thing I'll say. But yeah, so I cover most things horror. The big franchises I try and cover as much as I can, like Halloween, Scream, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw, you name it. I do top 10s, top 100s, if you can be bothered to watch them. News, updates, rumours, all those kind of things. And just collaborations as well with guys like Mark and Scott from the You Run podcast. So yeah, if you want to check me out, you can go over to YouTube. It's just Wolfman's Got Nards. If you want to check me out on Instagram or X, formerly known as Twitter, it's Wolfman's Got Nard without the S, because somebody stole the Wolfman's Got Nards on both of them, which is annoying. So Wolfman's Got Nard on both of them. I'm most active on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Anywhere else, I kind of forget about, to be honest. But yeah, come and check me out if you can understand the Scottish accent. I know some people find it hard, but
and if you can't, say in the comments
troll
on
me.
YouTube that you can't troll him, and you'll be part of the video.
Yeah, I mean, your channel was great. I found you maybe a year or two ago when I first started YouTubing, not putting myself on YouTube, but just watching YouTube videos, and I found you through Halloween content. Being a big Halloween fan, I used to watch a lot of Halloween stuff on YouTube, and that's how I found you. Even though I massively embarrassed myself at the For Love of Horror a couple of years ago, when I gloriously came up to you and was like, "Oh, Dave!"
I know, I'm like, no, who's Dave?
And I genuinely knew who you was as well, and I was like, and it just, Scott, how drunk was I that evening? I was a right mess, wasn't I?
You'd had a few. You were about as drunk as I was, or you were about as drunk as I was hungover this year.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So I do apologise for that. Now we are publicly on the air. I just want to say I'm very sorry for that, but I do know who you are. Well, I was a big fan of your channel, which was what was so annoying.
That's the thing. If you didn't do it, though, I wouldn't even know who you guys were. So I'm glad you did. And I went back to my friends that night, and I was talking to them. I was like, this guy came up to me and said, "Are you Dave McRae?" And I thought he was joking, but then I'm thinking he's being genuine, and I think he thinks I'm genuinely lying to him. And I'm saying I'm not Dave. Yeah, I'm like, I'm definitely not Dave, and I'm really sorry.
But the thing
then-
is, I didn't think you were Dave. I just had a mind blank because obviously I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I was like, it's that YouTube guy. It's that YouTube guy who I watch all his videos all the time. What's his name? Oh, it's Dave. I'm sure it's Dave.
See, for me, I got the other side of it, which was hilariously funny. So Mark come and spoke to you, and then come back to me, and I was holding his beard. He come back and went, "He's lying. I don't know why he's lying to me. It's definitely Dave. I know it's. I'm going to go back and talk to him again." And then I just kind of stood there and watched him go back over and make an ass of himself again.
Do you remember what you said, Mark, when you came back to me?
I can't. No,
He came back up to me. He pointed to me and went, "Dave McRae." I went, "No."
Oh, how embarrassing, man! I'm very sorry, Barry.
That's all right.
A huge thank you for everyone listening this week or watching if you're watching on YouTube. A huge thanks for Barry, and go and check out what he does. Wolfman's Got Nards. I'll link it in the episode on all podcast platforms, and it'll be linked in YouTube as well. We are back next week with a super special episode. Mark has tolerated my shit for 100 episodes as co-host.
Yeah,
100 episodes.
Stint that, man. That's like nearly 200 hours. 200 hours, man.
Yeah, 200 hours plus you've spent with me. That doesn't include time off the air. You spend more time with me than you do with your wife.
Yeah, and news and all the rest of it. And the fact that I speak to you probably 24 hours a day on socials.
Yeah.
We should just get married. We should just get a flat. Me and you should just get a flat. That would be perfect.
It would end badly.
Do you think?
Yeah, it ended divorce. Mark has also picked the movie for next week. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We've been advertising it on social media, so if you've seen that, you know what it is. If you haven't, until next time, it wouldn't be without a chainsaw massacre. We will catch you all next time. See you all later.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Hey everyone,
The You Run Podcast.
the You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show, this is your show.